Welcome all to our channel GTech Fluent. Our today's topic number 3 in Angular 11 video tutorial series is overview of Angular project structure. In this video, we will see how the Angular project structure and where should we add our logic, configuration file, etc. So let's start. We can create the project or the workspace using ng new command using VS Code as an editor. If you want to know how to install and create the Angular application, you can watch our previous video on the setuping on the environment for what tools and the installation required to starting with the Angular 11 project. So let's switch to the VS Code and see our Angular project structure in details. We are in VS Code editor. So this was the project which we have created into our previous video tutorial. So where this project we have installed using the Angular 11 version. I would recommend you the first file you should check out, that is the readme.md. So if you go to the readme.md file, it has some basic information how to use the CLI command. For example, ng new command, ng generate command, ng build command is there. So we have the ng serve, ng test. So these are the some basic information you will get under this readme file. So you will see our version is 11.2.2 of the Angular which we have run under this. When you serve or run the application, your application will be navigate to this port. So this is the information you will get here. Then if you want to create the component or any class or the service, you need to use ng generate, and then respectively you need to use either one of these, and you can give the file name or the component name. So these are the basic information you should check that, because eventually we need to use this as and when required. Then you have the ng build. So this is the use when you want to deploy for the production environment or the local environment. So if you want to deploy on the production, you need to use as a dash dash prod. So we will discuss this in upcoming video with the details. These are the basic information you will get with the readme.md file. So if you go to the root directory, we will see first e to e file. So this file is used for the end-to-end test. So it has its own config file. So we will see this usage of this in our upcoming videos. And then we have the node modules. So as we install node.js, so node.js creates this folder and put all the third-party module listed under this as a package. If you expand this, you find some packages which is required to run our Angular application. So that is created and added by the node.js. So every application it must have this. So when you install any third party module or the packages, it will goes to the node modules folder. Next we'll see the editor.config file. So if you expand this, so it's a simple configuration for your editor to make sure everyone that uses the project has the same configuration or has the basic configuration. For example, the spaces, what is the style of the spaces, how much should be there, the new line should be there, the trailing spaces should be there, the quote should be single or double. So this kind of the information is mentioned into the editor.config file. So like the most of the editors suppose the editor config file. You can see the more information by going to the http.editorconfig.org. So you can check that with the more detail. Next we have the git ignore file, git configurations that make sure auto generated files not committed to the source control. For example, if you are using the git repository, for example I am using the git one, so I don't want to commit this dist folder, temp folder or node module into the my git version or the git repository. So here we need to mention that files or the folder path which you don't want to committed for the particular branch. Next we have the angular.json file. So this is the configuration of the Angular CLI or the Angular application. In this file you can set the several default and also configure what files are included when your project is built. For example, if you want CSS or JS file, then you need to add inside the Angular JSON. For example, here if you notice, we have CSS by default added here, style.scss. If you want to add the script, you can add here. As an asset, if you notice, we have the assets folder by default mentioned here. If you want to change that, you can add your custom path here. That kind of the configuration provided under the angular.json. Next file we have the let's say package.json file. So if you go with the package.json file, the npm configuration listing the third party packages your project are usage. So what are the third party packages are usage or using in your application, that is listed here. So you find there is dependencies and the dev dependency. Two types are there. So what are the dev dependencies are here, it is will mention into the here. So if you see, we have the karma install, which is the testing tool for the Angular. This is the dependency or the third party packages if you are using that. We have the ts config. It includes the TypeScript compiler configuration for our IDE. For example, if you want to publish Angular application, then we should, then where should be public, we can configure inside this file into the out directory. For example, if you want to publish and create the dist folder, so this is the out directory for our application. Whenever you run the ng build command, all the packages or the final publish will be put. Now we can see our main folder, which is src folder. src folder contains the file for our application. Most of the time you are going to be only editing the file inside the src folder, because these are the configuration which is for the one time. But if you are adding any component, any services, that is inside into the src folder itself. So in the src you have a app folder. Root component defines the app component along with the html template. If you see, we have the app component here, we have the html for the app component and the styles for the app component. So these are the file for the component specific, here it is defined. So all other component become a tree or nested component for this application. So all the component which is you are adding is to be loading inside this our app component, and this is the one component which is loaded when our page is initially loading. Next we have the app slash app dot module ts to define the root model that tells Angular application how to assemble the application. Right now it is declared only the app component. If you add any your own component, you need to define here first, otherwise it is not available for the running application. Then we have the assets folder here. So the folder where you can put the images and anything else to be copy, like for example if you want to put images, css file, all the files like localization file, so that kind of file you need to put inside the assets folder. Then we have the environment folder. The folder contains the one file for the each of the destination environments. For example, if you find there are the two environment files, first for the normal environment which is not for the production, and second for the production environment. So what are the configuration you want to differ for the development and the production, so we need to use this file accordingly. Next we have the index.html file. So this is the main html page that serves when someone visit our site. So most of the time you will never need to edit this page because we are not adding anything inside this page. The CLI is automatically add all the JS and the CS file when our application is building. So whenever our application is run, so that is only this HTML is getting rendered into the browser and other files are converted as a JS file, and our Angular CLI is automatically binding that to the particular, let's say our index.html. So how that is binding, we will see into our upcoming video. So the next file is a main.ts file. So if you go to the main.ts file, the main entry point of your application. So compilers compiles the application with the JIT. So if you have the any idea on the JIT compiler, so it is compiled under the JIT. And bootstrap our application as a root model. If you see app model, whenever our application is started, it first bootstrap the app model, and inside the app model it is starting with the first component. So we will see in our upcoming video how the bootstrap process of the Angular will work. Next we have the polyfills.ts file. Our application or the Angular is supported to the different browser. So different browsers have the different level of the support with as per their standard. So polyfills helps to normalize the differences. but be sure to check out the browser support and the guidance for the particular browser. So for example, so if you want to provide the support for the I11 or all the things, so you need to uncomment some code. For example, this class list code you need to uncomment, and if anything required you need to add here. So it is morely supporting your browser compatibility, which helps to maintain that. Next we have the style.scss file. So this is the global style to go where most of the while you will want to have the local styles in your component for the easier maintenance, but the style that affect all our application you need to add here. Next we have the test.ts file. This is the main entry point of your unit test file. So if you are working with the writing the unit test case for the Angular application, so this is the file where your entry point of your unit test. So we have covered most use important files into the Angular application. We have explained into the details, and we'll understand which files to be used for the which purpose. So in our next video we will see how the Angular application is bootstrap, or how the Angular loads the first component to the browser. So please let us know if anyone has any query or doubt. We will meet in our next video. Thank you.